Welcome to the Kingdom Citizen Podcast. We're going deeper once again in our series on having a dream and daring to live it. Now, with my co-host Brooke and our co-founder of FAM, what happens when a dreamer who catches a dream pursues it enough to where the dream actually becomes a reality? We're blessed to be in a situation like that ourselves and want to share some of the practical things we're learning on how to stay on that dream, even when God's saying, that's a false summit. I've got a bigger horizon out there for you. Stay on it, stay with it. Let's go to the next mountain. So Brooke, what are some of the questions associated with this?
As you said, when the dream becomes reality, that's what you work for, right? We're dreamers.
Yeah.
You have a dream and you want to see it become reality. But just as you mentioned, sometimes doubts come in.
You bet.
Or those obstacles come in. So the first question is, when your dream does become a reality, was there ever a time that you let that doubt consume you in the midst of living out that dream?
Oh yeah. It seemed like every time we got deep into a dream, my personal leadership was always challenged. Not by people or anything like that, but it was really challenged on the inside. I mean, nothing comes easy. When it was just the two of us, it wasn't easy. Well, then when it became 7 of us, 12 of us, 15 of us, 30 of us, and now, over 800 of us in 5 different countries, I always feel like my leadership is being challenged, and it's an internal challenge. Am I adequate enough for this level of leadership? Can I rise to the occasion? What about when I become weary and I become tired in the pursuit of the dream, right? So the challenge for me is, in the midst of living up to the highest impact that we have arrived at, and in the midst of that dream becoming a reality, how do I check myself and say, okay, what's it going to take to rise to the occasion at this level of the challenge and stay fresh, stay informed, stay faithful, right? Posture myself as a learner and not to give up on myself in pursuit of the dream. And to help with that, I remember what Paul says, where he said, hey, forget what is behind and press forward to what lies ahead. So you can really lay your hands on that calling that God has placed on your life. So it's a habit that I've tried to develop in the midst of living out the dream. Okay, I remember lessons learned, but I'm forgetting what was in the past. And I am pressing forward to what lies ahead. I'm not going to live on a false summit. I believe God has so much out there that's exceedingly and abundantly more. I want to be ready and not live in any form of self-doubt that would keep me to climbing the next summit.
Would you say that's how you keep the dream alive and keep it fresh? Or how do you redream that dream when you get to those places?
You bet. This happened so many times within FAM where I thought, this is it. We've arrived. This is the optimal mountaintop of this dream. And the Lord's like, no, son, that's a proof of concept for what's coming next. And then when I think we've hit the next summit, the same thing happens over and over again. I'm an innovator by nature, and we've wrestled with this over our 30 years of marriage where you're like, Kevin, this is your 7-year itch.
Yeah.
So to help keep the dream alive, a couple things I've done is coming to an understanding that what we have and what God's given us is worthy of all of it. And then when I get that itch, when I get that drive to innovate or want to change, instead of just going on to what's next, casting this thing off or quitting or giving up or chasing something bright and shiny.
Yeah.
I've tried to learn to discipline myself to innovate within the organization. Okay, let me exercise that within the scope of FAM and our mission to raise it up or to push forward.
Which I think that has proven to be beneficial because you're able to focus in on a weak spot or something that's not keeping pace with the rest, and you can put energy into that.
You betcha.
To bring it all along to keep it healthy moving forward.
I agree.
All right. Well, next question. This is a little personal question, but in the midst of chasing the dream, it takes a lot of your emotions and physical time and strength.
Sure.
How do you balance, and how should others who are living their dream and seeking out to do that, how can they balance their personal life with their professional life?
I heard a guy once say years and years ago, he said, sometimes your family has to take a back seat to the ministry. And sometimes the ministry has to take a back seat to your family. And I think what he was trying to express was that balance is a fallacy.
Right.
So when you're in the midst of that dream, then you know God gave me this dream. It is a godly pursuit to go after it. But to stay on the pursuit, it is costing me, and it's costing all those around me. As much as they love it, love the Lord, and are committed to it, it is costing us.
We had a talk and talked about we're not going to have a balance because the dream is going to demand from us. We're going to have to sacrifice. We're going to have to give, but we're going to have a rhythm.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some rhythms where we're high and you're able to fill the well. You're given a lot of extra time. But then there's the heavy seasons where it's going to be less. So we have this rhythm of fill the well so that when it runs low, there's reserves there to lean on. And I think that's worked for us and our family.
The idea of balance is a fallacy. But rather, as Brooke articulated, getting into those rhythms and riding those highs and lows and making sure I have enough gas in the tank when I need to prioritize the family and when I need to prioritize the dream, that the home fires can keep burning, our marriage can stay together. The trust is there, the relationship is there, all the stuff that's necessary for life is there, that our margins aren't so squeezed that the straw would break the camel's back. Listen, the straws are going to fall, right? Tons of them. The pressures are going to come. Make sure you're undergird. Give yourself margin within the pursuit, that the dream does not have to die because we didn't do our due diligence on everything else in the rhythms of our life.
Okay, Kevin, last question.
Yeah.
What is your dream for the future of FAM? In a nutshell, not all the details, but in a nutshell, what is your dream for FAM?
I'm going to give it to you in the simplest thing I've ever said. We call ourselves the For All Mankind movement. It's our expression of the Great Commission. And he could have said in the early days, we were the For All Dubai movement. And then later you could say we were the For All India movement. Or now you might like, well, they're the For All South Asia movement. The future of FAM, as I see it, as a dreamer, right? Grabbing hold of a dream. The future of FAM is for us to live up to our name and be the For All Mankind movement. And take this proof of concept that's been built out over 15 years and take it and share it around the world, giving a priority to those that are the least reached among the unreached, so we can see kingdom movements happening among them. So if you're in the midst of your dream right now and you're saying, man, I feel like I'm right at the top of the mountain, it can't get any better than this, drop down with the Lord, seek godly counsel, undergird, create that margin and say, Lord, is there another summit that you want me to pursue to follow you into that full expression of the Great Commission? Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're inspired and encouraged to grab hold of that dream and dare to live it to the full. And when you think you're there, cast your gaze upon the next mountaintop and go after it with all that you have.